Welcome to the Bros Who Think Podcast, starring your host, Mr. Lyndon Burton, and his co-host, Horace Hall, aka Brooklyn, and Adam Schubert, with guest co-host, Bree Robb from The Law According to Bree. So, without further ado, take it away, you guys.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Bros Who Think Podcast. My name is Lyndon Burton, a.k.a. Youngboy D-Witz, a.k.a. the People's Champ, a.k.a. Beard Gang is in the motherfucking building. I'm joined once again by my co-host, Mr. Horace Hall. Brooklyn, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good, bro. I can't complain, you know what I'm saying? Another day, another dollar, you feel me?
I feel that. We doing this earlier in the day than usual. Cause we decided, you know what? Instead of doing an interview, we wanted to bring in somebody to talk with us about what's been going on in the world. And she's been a former guest on the podcast before. Glad to have her back. Miss Bree Robb from Law According to Bree. Bree, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Doing well. Glad to have you back on the podcast. I saw you wrote for Karen Civil recently. That's dope as hell.
Oh,
yeah. I've just joined on as a contributor, so try not to boast about it that much.
Well, nah, congratulations. We gotta give it to you.
Right. You gotta give props where props is due.
Thank you.
But glad to have you back on the pod this week. Look, B man, we got a lot to get into. We glad to have Bree on the show, but might as well let's just jump into it. First off, we just gonna get this out the way because we've talked about this 3 weeks in a row. First week it was supporting him. Second week it was this don't look too good, and then now it really don't look good.
Yeah, it's looking like a whole fabricated story.
Yeah, so Jussie Smollett, everybody, by now you know about this. We talked about the Nigerians last week, and he seems like the first American to scam some Nigerians. But look, it's not okay because I'm not gonna make no jokes about this because this is okay. Me personally, I don't feel okay about this. Bree, how do you feel about the whole Jussie Smollett? Because we've talked about it for 2 weeks. I want to see if your take is different from ours.
So like I personally, I haven't really wanted to speak, a lot on it because it's such a confusing situation. It's literally, as a journalist, especially writing stories about it, it's you don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
If you see a gay man get attacked, you want to believe that at first.
Facts.
And Chicago police's record of lying is long, but at the same time, with the evidence coming out, it's just you don't know what to believe anymore, and it's kind of just it's like you're just cut in between and don't know what to say, so you're just gonna wait until you get that actual final answer.
Yeah, I feel. See, that's the responsible approach. I'm not gonna lie, because I was jumping out the window last week. Go ahead, B.
It's very convoluted for sure. It's what every time you hear new development on the story, it's coming out of left field. You know what I'm saying? Nothing's really lining up.
No, and it's wilder and wilder shit each week. When I heard the whole Nigerians thing, that was wild. Then this week, the wild shit to me is the feds are getting involved now because they think he sent himself that letter. That the little you remember
the serial killer shit.
Yeah, the serial killer shit. Yeah, facts. If he did that, that's crazy, yo. The feds will get him, and that's 5 years. That's a lot of time.
It's just weird. Time. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? How much? What I'm getting from the sources I've been looking at, it's just maybe he was doing it to try to get a buzz because he's been doing club appearances and he's been doing his own shows. So they were trying to see if he was trying to get people to to start coming to his. He's like, oh, I'm a victim, come support me type shit. And I'm thinking, I really don't want to believe that that storyline because I'm you got to be in a real dark place to want to
do some shit like that. Yeah, and then wait, the other thing. Okay, so this ties into what you said. So to get his music popping, they also said that and I know they said that this is not true anymore, but this is one of the things that was reported at first, that he was about to get written out and that they wanted people to feel sorry for him so they wouldn't write him out. But we're going to see with all this because they're investigating Lee Daniels too now. And this is going to be crazy. Like, I still hold out hope, even though at this point, I'm going to be upfront. I don't believe him at this point because it's weird. It's just a weird situation, but I pray. Just because I don't believe somebody doesn't mean I don't pray the situation doesn't turn out right. I pray that I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to come apologize on this platform. I pray that he is that he's innocent, and I pray that he is in line, because you can't lie about something like this. This
right
when you
this
lie,
major.
Like when you lie about a hate crime this serious, it not only detracts from the people who want to believe African Americans, but it detracts from the people that want to believe LGBTQ. And yes, some of those people interlock, but some of those people don't. And each hate group is just as visceral and evil. Both of them are just as bad. So it's like, I feel bad for people who are actually going, and it sucks because if he actually went through this, I apologize, but I feel bad for people who are going through this, and then now people are going to start questioning them. And that's not, that's just not right. That's something you can't lie about, because it affects too many people, the people that are trying to be progressive in the country, the people that support you, the people that will ride for you. It affects African Americans, it affects LGBTQ, and it might even affect other minorities, because it gives racist people more ammunition, because it's like, hey, he lied about that shit. How am I gonna believe any of you other niggas?
Right. It's almost like, and I don't want to say he's lying, but also at the same time, I don't want to say he's telling the truth. But it's almost like, just like what you said, like, if he comes out and he says he lied and he staged it, that's going to be hard on especially LGBTQ, the community, because it's almost like, they already go through a lot, and we haven't gotten to the point where we believe them solely whenever they get attacked, or assaulted. So it's just like, damn, like, that's really more where I'm worried about.
And see, I'm kind of with it too, where you said, Bree, because the LGBTQ community, and none of us in this chat, and none of us in this conversation on this podcast are in that community. We're in the African American community, but we don't know how that feels. And I can only go by what I see on the internet, what I see in real life. And I'm not gonna lie, they got it hard, man. Because like, anytime they make a claim, they have to prove it 150%. And like, go ahead, Bree. No, I was gonna say it's not just 100%. They gotta prove it 150%. That shit is wild.
Yeah, and it's almost like women and them have it the worst whenever it comes to reporting any assault or anything that's like just, related to them getting pushed to their limits or whatever. Them two are the most like targeted groups when it comes to police reporting, because it's just like no one believes us, or no one believes women, and no one believes them.
No, facts. You're right, and I'm in particular. I gotta call it spade a spade. Black women are some of the most marginalized people on this planet. It's one of those things that has to change. So I pray for this man. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not going to, because last week I was going a little wild, because I was just like, damn, that's crazy. But this week I'm not going to go wild. I'm gonna say I'm just praying for him, and I'm praying for all parties involved, because I just hope something, whatever comes to the light, because it will, because my mom always told me, what goes on in the dark will come to the light. Whatever comes to the light, I just hope he can live with that and just move on better, I guess. But that's all I can say about that. But speaking on what Bree said, I think this goes into a good transition about how we don't like to listen to women. We don't like to believe women. The Steve Harvey Monique conversation came out about kind of how Steve was telling Monique on his show, you need to play along.
Take the money.
Yeah, take the money. You was doing too much. Like, you gotta be quiet. And even though he told her in private he believed her, he wouldn't come out and say it in public. The fact that she was being blackballed, and it had all these people like Oprah Winfrey and all these other people saying that they believe her, but they wouldn't come out publicly and say she was being blackballed, because she got paid, like, I believe I don't want to say some outrageous number, but it's in the thousands when she got paid for the thousands for that Oscar-winning movie she won, Precious, instead of getting paid millions to her counterparts. The Netflix thing, I have a different take on because I feel at this point, in terms of Netflix, I feel you can't compare her to Dave Chappelle because at this point, if you look at the numbers of what they do live, and I get she's a legend, I get she has an Oscar, but in this day and age of streaming and how streaming works, it's about who has the numbers. And I'm sorry that's what it is. People don't care about legends because we're in the wild, wild west of streaming, and it's about your numbers. So I hate the conversation of, can you compare her money that she got to Dave's or even Amy Schumer's? Because both of those people, Dave and Amy Schumer, are doing stadium tours. Monique hasn't done a stadium tour in so long. So that when it comes to Netflix, I disagree, but I don't agree with Steve Harvey and what him and the rest of their friends did to her, because if you support somebody in private, you should support somebody in public, and you can't have integrity and still make money. I'm not with the not having integrity and not making money. So what do you guys think? Let's start with Bree and then we'll get to you, B.
All right.
So pretty much everything you said was like correct. Like I'm not putting money over integrity. Like I'm gonna be real before the money, honestly, because it's just like at the end of the day, money can like literally run out. You know.
Facts.
People say you always have enough money. It's like no, like that shit can run dry. You know, you never know what happens.
Yep.
But with the whole Netflix thing, also, you're right. Like, has Monique ever been like on her individual, like single stadium tour by herself? You know.
And if it has been, it hasn't been since the early 2000s.
Yeah,
if that's 90s, the case.
You know. So it's just like I understand why, you know. Why you give it to her? Because it's just like, you know, Dave Chappelle and Kevin Hart and all of those, like they sell out to millions, you know, sometimes, and she hasn't, you know, built to that capacity yet. So it's like, it's just like, I guess she couldn't understand that, you know, just because of probably the titles that she has under her name. But still, you know, that doesn't mean everyone's gonna throw everything at you. But Steve, I'm happy though. Steve was in the wrong from how it felt, but I'm happy that it was a neutral conversation. Not, you know, they could go at it with each other, but at the end of the day, you know, they still cool. Like they can go dap it up or whatever, go hug each other in the back. Because you know, nowadays it's really hard to have like a conversation where you're not trying to be biased, but you become biased, and you know everyone gets caught out, and people want to fight and all that. Like that's hard. So they had a good representation of African Americans having a good detailed conversation.
Facts.
Being, you know, beefed out.
Yeah, and they're truly friends. So I see how that in like those words could affect people. And like you said, in this day and age, I'm surprised that it didn't happen. But due to their friendship, it was a good look on behalf of just how we communicate with each other. B, what you think about the fact that all of this, and on top of that, I'm gonna ask you this. Steve has always been, and I'm not gonna say the word that I used to say because I'm trying to get better, but you know the word I want to say.
Yeah.
Steve has always shown us his stand on that. So how do you feel about he's not doing anything different?
Well, I'm gonna start with this. I love the Parkers growing up. Facts. And I love the Steve Harvey show. You feel me?
Facts. Both
Monique knows that her time is up. So her trying to get that money from Netflix, let's be real. You're not worth that. Nah. Let's be real. And the thing with The Precious, it was a low budget movie. It was a low budget movie from the jump. All right. If you wanted to get paid a different way, if you want to get paid in movie sales, you should have worked your contract out different. I don't feel bad about that. The thing with Steve, he been tripping because we've known it for years now. They tell Steve how high. I mean, they tell Steve to jump, and he asks how high.
How high?
He'll do any movie. He'll do any show. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if they give him they love throwing him the money. His integrity been gone. It's been gone. So I respect what Monique was saying to him. At what point do we stop thinking about our integrity and just go for the money? Like, I understand what he was saying about I'm trying to feed my family. Like, look, Steve, you fed your family 5 times over. Okay?
Yeah, man.
You're well. The money you bringing in, that well can't run dry. Can't. Yep. It's impossible for the money to run dry. Come on, son. Like, the integrity that you have is gone, and we've known that for a while because his stance on this, it's never changed. So for me, I like what Bree said. I like the fact that he was able to have that kind of conversation, and it didn't lead to any bad blood at the end.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And to your point on how he already gave it up a long time ago, and I like how Bruce said it always doesn't last, even though his money at this point is enough to keep at least his kids and his kids' taken care of. I don't know about kids, but nonetheless, he has enough to go over 2 generations. But how Bree said, just as fast as you get it, you can lose it. The same sword that he picks up is the sword that cuts him every time. Don't forget, NBC just canceled his big, or whatever, NBC, ABC, wherever he was in the morning with his big Steve Harvey show, just got cut. And he was salty as hell about that it got switched for Rachel Ray. He thought it was racist. But nobody can come to your defense for that.
Because you ain't never come to nobody else's defense.
Exactly. Facts. Like, it would be different if you see, and I'm gonna give credit where credit is due, because I don't like to say other people's thoughts without saying it. I believe it was Joe on State of the Culture, Joe Budden. He said it would be different if Steve was putting on like Cedric and all these other black people when he would get to the Family Feuds, when he would get to these, I guess, white platforms. He's not putting us in positions to get to the next level. He's just focusing on himself. And I know that's a question where it's like, do you focus on self, or do you focus, once self is achieved, do you focus on making other people's dreams come true? And that just depends on you as a creator.
I respect that.
That just comes down to how you feel about yourself as a creator, and how you feel about self. And if self is okay, then self will put others on. But if self isn't okay, you'll see what he's been doing. Because if you ask me, Steve wasn't the funniest one in the Kings of Comedy.
He was never the funniest one.
Yeah, never. It was always Cedric, and I give Monique funnier than him. DL, you had so many.
Yeah, there was so many of them that I would put above him when it came to that to those tours that they were funnier than him. Like, come on.
Fact. But that's all. I think we're all on agreement. Integrity. You can make money with keeping your integrity. You can do that. Like, you don't have to kiss ass to make money. Like, not everybody's kissing ass out here. I don't think Jay-Z did. From what it appears on the outside, Jay-Z is a prime example of someone who has kept his integrity and still made money. Ava DuVernay is someone who has kept her integrity and still made money. Just those are 2 examples of people who I think can have done it. So let's move on to the next one. This one's a little sad. It's sad due to the situation, but it's something that's been it's something that repeatedly happens in rap music. YNW Melly has been charged with a double homicide, but the crazy thing is he released this song, I don't know if either of you heard it, Murder on My Mind, where he kind of really goes into what kind of happened, and that's kind of why the police picked him up. How do y'all feel about YNW Melly? I'm going to start with Brooklyn this time, and then we'll go to Bree next. Brooklyn, how do you feel about this whole YNW Melly situation? Or Melvin, as he says, because it's Melvin Demons when the crime happens, and then it's Melly when he's good. That's his word.
Well, what I want to say is I actually heard the song because somebody told me about it yesterday. I heard the song yesterday. And first reaction, what the fuck? I was like, I understand that, you going through some things and, he did what he did. But the fact that you made a song out of it really lets me know that this kid had some really dark problems.
Yeah.
Like, this kid wasn't well for a while, and I guess because he was in the spotlight, nobody wanted to talk about it. But come on, son. Like, what type of shit was that?
And they say it's his homies too. That's right, the thing
like,
that messed
how
me
I'm
up.
your friend, but you want to kill me?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's why. Bree, what you think about all this?
So I've only heard a few things about him before he got arrested. But from like what I would read on Twitter, someone had posted like a thread about how they, I guess a theory that they think that he is schizophrenic. And
I believe that.
Melvin is like, his ego, but it's like his demon that's, kind of playing with him. And that's who like told him to,
do all this stuff.
Do it. And I'm pretty sure like he even just released a video with like him in prison, looking at him and his mom when he was younger. And I'm pretty sure like all of this stuff, like what he's giving us and what he's showing us is pretty much telling us about like, his
mental state.
illness, yeah. So it's just like, it's just weird, but he did it, so we can't just
say free and
go, but he's insane also, so we gotta treat that.
No, facts. We gotta kind of. I agree with that take 100%. And being that in pop culture, you can see we're real into the mental health and we're real into it, and that's a prime example. And it's crazy you say that. If you go watch his Genius, he did an interview with Genius where he was talking about Murder on My Mind. And this was the day before he got picked up. I found this out yesterday, and I watched the video. Shit is crazy. It reminded me of, I don't know if y'all seen Split.
Yeah.
But it reminded me of McAvoy in Split. He was just like, Melvin does. And I was like, yo, this shit is wild. Like, he, at this point, I'm with Bree. He got to get help. Like, it's not about, of course he gonna something gonna happen to him because he did do the crime, but I mean allegedly did do the crime, but we're gonna find out in a couple of weeks. But if that's the case, he need help. Like
I don't want him in my prison going crazy like that. I don't need him in my prison talking, in third person and shit. You feel me? Like we need to get him help before he kill a bunch of inmates.
Yeah, facts. But people don't think about that. People don't, you know how that goes. We don't care about the inmates.
You right.
So, but I agree with both y'all's takes on this. YNW Melly, we gotta try to get him some help out there because he has exhibited behavior, schizophrenic behavior and bipolar behavior. So let's get to the next topic, and this one leads into one of the reasons why I'm really glad Bree is here, because usually it's me, Cam, and Brooklyn talking about a lot of these topics, and some of these topics involve females, and sometimes people say we be sounding a little toxic. Yeah, they say we sound a little toxic.
We a little side. It's a little, our views a little skewed.
Yeah, but I don't think we toxic. But nonetheless, that's why we have Bree on today. Bree, we want to talk to you about this whole Nicki Minaj BET situation because I didn't want to come out and say some crazy shit. How do you feel about it? Was BET right or were they wrong?
I'm gonna keep it simple. BET just chose the wrong time, wrong place. Everything was just, laid out wrong. I understand what they wanted to say because I feel like they were trying to say congrats, Cardi. Meanwhile, Twitter is dragging Nicki, for not having a Grammy. I understand that's, I guess, their point they wanted to see it across, but the whole layout and timing of everything was just completely wrong. And then, literally the whole Young Money is set to perform at BET Experience. I was planning to, try to go. And now it's just like Wayne's not performing. I think Tyga was performing. Nicki's performing. Like, that's all done. That's dead. That was the main, acts. Like, they were, pushing out. And now you have to find someone to top that,
Yeah, it's going to be hard. And I agree with you. BET chose the wrong time and wrong place.
The worst time.
And the wording to me is bad. And I know this is gonna sound, but just think about this, how this looks from context if you're Nicki Minaj. You talk about her lace front, which is, and I know in African American culture, Black women should be tired of getting made fun of about weave. So that's that. Your BET, which stands for Black Entertainment Television. This woman has been coming to your awards and picking y'all up for 6 years straight. She hasn't missed a BET award. But you use this time to lift up another woman while tearing down one, but you tear down an African-American woman to lift up a Spanish woman. And I know we as Black and brown people need to stick together, but just from how the optics look, if you're Nicki Minaj as Black Entertainment Television, it just doesn't look right. B, am I off or am I
Nah, bro,
crazy?
Look, you hitting the nail on the head. First of all, the lace front thing, come on, son. They should have known that was a no-no area from the jump. And the fact that they even said something, y'all didn't even have to say shit. Honestly, y'all didn't have to say shit.
Yeah.
Like, who made the decision and was like, you know what? It's time for us to let this go. The timing was the worst part about the whole thing.
Yeah,
and the fact that, like you said, she hasn't missed the BET Awards in 6 years, bro. She's one of the headliners every year.
Yep. And you can't get some people to go to BET Awards. And we're always talking about how we need to have our own awards and have it. Just BET had a prime opportunity with all the conversations around the Grammys. We talked about it last week about how the Grammys just don't get it right and how we need to have our own thing. BET had a prime opportunity where they could have, instead of tweeting that, they could have congratulated Cardi and been like, we know how to get it right. And it could have been their time to really get into the black community. Like, we're the award show that y'all
right. If they want
about.
to bash somebody, they could have tried to bash the Grammys. I think we would have been behind that. That'd have been dope.
That'd have been really dope. And it's just sad because another thing, like Bree said, they were supposed to perform, and now you're not getting Wayne. You barely had a chance of getting Drake from
right.
jump.
Because when the last time he went to a BET Awards? Has he ever gone to a BET Awards?
When he was doing Over.
Yeah, Drake's been to BET Awards. Yeah.
Yeah, when he was pre-Take Care.
Right.
Pre-Take, yeah. So it's been about 6 years. So and like I was saying, you had a good shot at probably getting him there with Nicki and Wayne and rekindling that Young Money flame. But now that Nicki's saying she out and Wayne out, oh, you're not getting Drake.
It's done.
It's over with. You might get Tiger, but that's it.
Right. I was about to say I don't want to throw shade at the lower ones, but I'm like Mac May ain't gonna pull up. You feel me? But like
Mac May. I don't think Mac May ain't pulling up.
You think he out of that shit too?
Oh yeah,
Wayne not gonna pull up. Wayne, go-to guy. He's not pulling.
Yeah, May not pulling up. I'm with that. I think you might get Tiger. Twist still in jail, and
he first of all he done. All right.
And Chucky, nobody's heard from Chucky in God knows how long. So, and I don't think you're gonna get the hood ones like Gutter and Jay Mills because they rock.
Get Birdman up there.
You might get Bird because I don't know if how him and Wayne how they do it.
He gonna be up there by himself. That's it. Birdman gonna come up there and say Young Money, and he gonna walk up the stage
and expect to get a check.
Right. And he gonna be expecting his check. You better believe he gonna expect his money.
That's hilarious. But it's just BT just dropped the ball. But before we move on to the next topic, I want to say this. I do think Nicki was wrong for putting out the girl who tweeted that. Put it out her full name, her number, her address,
and she know the way her fans get. That was wild.
That's foul. Bree, how you felt about that side of it, putting the young lady's information out?
Yeah, that's fucked up. Like,
because if something happens to her, she responsible.
Yeah, because the whole situation. It's just I can't speak much on it for certain reasons, but.
You don't even have to say no more because I get that. You don't even have to say no more.
That's just kind of messed up. Yeah, definitely messed up.
For sure. Let's move on to the next topic, and this one is kind of the biggest news story of the week so far, and probably by the time this comes out, it'll still be the biggest story. But Tristan's at it again. T-Tom.
Can't keep his dick in his pants. Jesus,
he at it again. Tristan has allegedly, I'm gonna still say allegedly because even though Chloe broke up with him, I'm gonna still say allegedly because I wasn't there. I ain't see the brother.
Right, I wasn't there.
Look, I ain't no snitch on no black man. I'm not gonna do that. But look, he
hashtag black men don't cheat.
Tristan, Tristan clowning, bro. Tristan apparently cheated on Khloe Kardashian with Jordan Woods. Bree, before me and Brooklyn spew any toxicity, what do you think about this whole situation?
The whole situation it's fucked up for real, but I don't know. I really don't know because I really like Jordan and I like what she's become, like from underneath Kylie.
Yeah.
But Chloe knew he a cheater.
Right.
I don't justify cheating, but if you got your man by cheating, chances are you're gonna lose him by cheating.
Amen.
That's that.
It's all kind of just a messed up situation.
It really is, and I agree with you. Like, once you get your man through cheating, that's how it's gonna end.
That's that gospel.
He cheated during your pregnancy. Like, think about that. He cheated.
That's like the worst. That's the worst time to cheat.
My emotions is going crazy, and you out here doing that.
Like, you're about to have your first child with this woman the woman who is bearing your seed and you don't even give a damn. Like that's the time you don't like any time you don't cheat is that time.
That's when you know your morals is fucked up.
And she, I mean, and I no, not to cut you off, B, but I just think she should have known. She should have known. Right. But go ahead, B. What you think about this, bro?
What? So from what I seen, the reports was that she stayed over his house till 7 a.m. And then it was like the screenshots of Chloe and one of the twins were under the comments in the shade room and stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself like, well, look, if they up in the comments raising hell, some part of this is true. Now, whether he, actually slept with her, he innocent until proven guilty. But for sure, he's guilty of doing something, and so is she. That they in the comments causing hell. So I mean, we really can't be shocked though, because it's Tristan. Like this bro has been up. He's been doing this since he got drafted.
Yeah, he's been doing dirt since forever, and it's just wild because it's like you said, we know Tristan did this, but my thing is, let's look at it from the Jordan perspective. Is she wrong for doing that to her best friend's sister, or the sisters, sisters and brothers not coming to play with the best? Like, how, is that not bro code, or is that not girl code? Should I say, Bree?
I mean, for me personally, I'm not gonna do that. Like, that's not my forte. But different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like, you get some different strokes, all right.
Brooklyn, you stupid.
I don't know. They have a history of
doing that
with each other, best friends, men, and then claiming him and dating him.
Yeah.
So it's just it's almost just kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of almost known.
They be recycling. I know that for a fact.
Because am I not wrong in saying this? Didn't Justine Skye, wasn't she Kylie's best friend, and wasn't she dating Travis and didn't like?
Yeah.
So you're right. That's kind of a little hypocritical.
Look, them girls, as long as you around Kris Jenner, the hardest working human on this planet.
Oh yeah, she had to get that season popping.
Right. Nothing is off limits. You feel me? Like, and I know their numbers been down. You can't tell me their numbers not down. You feel me? Because it's been so long they've been on the air. They got to start generating some buzz, man. The last time they generated some real buzz was when Bruce became, Caitlyn.
Yeah, in fact.
Like they haven't made buzz in a while. Like, of course the Kardashians stay in the news, but they haven't made no real buzz in a couple years. This could be some juicy shit. This could be some real juicy shit.
And this could change up some of the seasons because they about to do a premiere. And Chloe has been real in the bottom of the news cycle but it's crazy because every time she's in the news cycle it's something like this.
About Tristan.
Yeah,
Dumbass.
about Tristan. Yeah, about doing some crazy shit. But this connects Kylie. So you're right. This would be good for their show. It's good content. Let's move on to the next topic because it's a lot. Like Bree said, there's so many levels to all that, and that's in different strokes for different folks. This is not our place to be judging people. That's just on the streets. Brooklyn, bro, I swear. All right, let's get into this conversation because this has been going on the internet, and we usually like bringing back dating in 2019. We had a segment last year called
Shout out to the fans.
This has been a topic that's been out on Twitter, that's been on YouTube. I've seen this topic really floating around since the year has started, and this is something that I've been waiting to talk about till I got the right people on the show. And I think this will be the best time to talk about this. Let's talk about the idea of interracial dating. And let's talk about how there's been both, we know how some sides feel about it, but a lot in the African-American community recently from people like, I'm trying to think of his name. What is that guy? Tariq Nasheed, and a lot of people have been going on different platforms. Like Nick Cannon had on his Cannon's class, I forget who he was talking to. I think it was either KRS-One or someone else. They were talking about this, and some of these black men's statements has been real disconcerting. It's like, and when I say disconcerting, it's disconcerting because to me, you love who you love. But what was said was that African-American males, and I'm gonna get to the flip side because I want to ask this specifically to Bree, but African American males who choose not to date inside their race have a self-hate problem. And to me, that's crazy because
what?
You love is love, and you should love who you love. But now I will say, if you have a specific dating view where you fetishize people due to their races, that's some problematic shit. But if you're a person who loves all type of women, I don't get how that's the case. And then on the flip side, this is the point that I want to get to Bree about, was when an African American female dates outside her race, we lift that up. And it's a weird situation to talk about. Bree, how do you feel about all the conversation about interracial dating?
So like, I really don't have a problem with it because in my family is very blended. So
same.
I'm used to it. But what I don't really like is men who downgrade and speak badly of Black women.
Yeah.
Who have one experience or no experience of dating with them. But they want to have, babies and, date, among like other races. And like I said, I have no problem with it. But like, for example, I think one of the NFL players, like, I forgot what team he was from. He's a dark-skinned guy, and he's, I guess, engaged or whatever to a blonde white girl. And on, I think, his Insta story, or someone he knew that he was around, they were doing a toast to whatever, and they were no more brown skin babies. And
he was like, I want more light skinned babies. Yeah.
See, look, that's some self-hate shit right there. That's some self-hate shit.
And that's that shit I'm talking about, where you fetishize other races, and you have a preference, and you downplay African American. Your mom's Black, bro. Like, you don't like
right?
Your mom?
Like, exactly. What are you talking about? Like, I just want to put a disclaimer out there. Like, I ain't got no type. You feel me? If I'm gonna be discriminative, I'm discriminative because I only like beautiful women. Okay,
yeah.
That is
I feel
it.
I feel like
the no more brown babies. That's that right there. That's the strange shit. And like what Bree's saying, I don't like when people like love who you love, bro. But when y'all get on, when it was on Serena a couple years back about this and that. First of all, half of the Black men in the society was always making manly jokes about Serena. Then all of a sudden, she has a baby with somebody out of her race, and all of a sudden there's an uproar. No, y'all don't get to do that. They don't get to do that. She gonna love who she love. Stay out of it, because it's none of your fucking business anyways.
Facts. You beautiful points. I agree with both of y'all. I think you as Black men, if you're out here spewing hate to the Black queens, it's like, yo, bro, you are wrong and out of place, because Black women are some of the strongest women out on this planet, some of the strongest people, human beings in general. So that just says something about you if you feel that way about African. That shows about self-hatred to you, and a little bit of problem about how you may have with strong women. I digress to the point about Brooklyn said about Serena. Yeah, we had no place. We had no place to say anything about that, because like you said, for years, it wasn't white men saying it. No, it was us saying it. And I agree with both of y'all. You got to love who you love. But when it comes to coming out and saying, I don't date this, or like Bree said, you have one or bad, two experience or no experience, it's like, bro, you can't you can't do that, because that's just wrong. And to me, race, let's call it what it is. Race is a human. Like, do we not realize that race is a man-made construct?
Yeah,
like it's a man-made construct. And it's made to make us have conversations like this, where we separate ourselves due to something that was man-made. So if that construct's not there, we don't see. We're just all humans at the end of the day. So you love who you love. You can't help who your heart tells you, yo, I have this connection with this person. You can't help that. That's something that you just can't control. And at the end of the day, when you find that person, whether it's Caucasian, whether it's African American, Latino, Asian, blue, purple, a male, a female, whatever it may be, you can't help who you love. And to me, that's the thing. But I agree with both of y'all. Is when it comes to this behavior of saying that, and yeah, you can have your preference, but when you say things like, "Oh, I don't date this specific race because of this," that you're part of the problem.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
that
definitely.
word, I'm glad we had this conversation because this was something I was been waiting to have a conversation about because it's something that's been going on for months. I'm glad Bree brought up that conversation about that football player because that was something I forgot to include because that was crazy when he said,
That's sick.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. Like you were a brown baby. Like what?
Right, exactly. You were literally a brown baby. Like they can go back and find the brown baby you in a picture. Like what are you talking about?
Yeah, bro, that's some self-hatred. But I want to thank Bree for coming on the show. Bree, tell the people where they can find you at on social media because after this portion, we get into our sports segment. So tell the people where they can find you. Tell them where they can find some of your content on your blog. And just tell them about some of the stuff you've been doing.
So you guys can find me on social media. The Law According to Bree Rob on Instagram and on Twitter, curated X Bree Rob, BREROB. And I just been writing really a lot lately on my site and for Karen Civil. So.
Yeah, man. Y'all go check out Bree's stuff on both her site and on her articles for Karen Civil. I think the most recent one she wrote on Karen Civil I read, and you just been killing it, Bree. So thank you for coming on the show. You guys go out and support Bree on both her blog and the stuff she's doing for Karen Civil. And without further ado, we're gonna get into Bros Who Ball. But before we get to Bros Who Ball, I want to ask Brooklyn a question about a sports-related question, and that'll transition us into Bros Who Ball with Schubert. But thank you, Bree, for coming on the show. So yeah, B, I want to thank Bree for coming on the show. But before we get to Bros Who Ball, this was something that I wanted to just bring up because it was very interesting when I heard it, and I want to give credit where credit is due. Bill Simmons had Chris Bosh on his podcast a couple weeks ago, and it was a very interesting conversation. I want to say this before we even get to the point. Chris Bosh is a very educated man when it comes to not just basketball. Like
and
he is,
life in general.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
he is making jokes about like the way he looks, but like, yo, he's dead ass smart.
Yeah, like he is super, super educated, and it was because it's been hard for me to listen to sports programming due to the AD stuff, but just hearing his side of things and just hearing the different it really showed me like, yo, Chris Bosh is one of the smartest people in the NBA, and like he needs to be in leadership somewhere.
Oh yeah, no, I'm about to say it's real refreshing hearing him give his take because like honestly, not to bring Steve Harvey back up, but like there's a lot of the guys that made it to the league, and once they start getting big contracts, they don't really start talking on certain subjects.
Yeah,
they just kind of stay out of it. No comment. You know, they only answer questions that are related to the game. You feel me? Like they don't, and literally that game, they don't talk about nobody in the locker room. They don't address nothing.
Yeah, they keep it. They talk about what they got to talk about and keep it pushing, or they give you the Russell Wilson approach, where it's positive, and like where you think they're a robot. But Chris isn't afraid to speak his mind, and this was what I really wanted to get into. And they basically said that we're in AAU basketball and we're in the AAU basketball generation. And being that I played AAU basketball, this was something that I recognized. Players, when you played AAU, you would play for a team and then, all of a sudden, if this other team offers you something better or they're better, you just hop, and there was never allegiances. And Chris Bosh kind of said that translated to the NBA, where we see guys hopping back and forth, just saying they don't want to play for people, and this is how he connected it to the AD stuff. Do we feel this AAU system has hurt basketball? And I know you're very close to basketball, being that you're from New York, and you know your brother was a good athlete, and you know about the system. Do you think the AAU system has hurt the NBA?
It has made it into what it is today, but honestly, I wouldn't say that it started now. It's been like that for about 6 years now that the NBA has gotten those players coming up from the AAU team, because it wasn't. I wouldn't say like maybe starting with the class of 2010, because I graduated high school 2012. So starting in 2010, those guys that started coming into the league, those guys were all AAU coming up from like 5 years old on AAU team. Those guys, they started this, and now the guys that are coming out class 2018, 2019, 2020, there's no stopping them now. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they're completely AAU involved. They know all the coaches, they know all the dads, they know all the moms. Like they know their opponents, like they're their cousins. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
They completely changed the makeup of that sport. And I really think that it's different from like the travel teams in baseball, and it's different from the because you don't do football. You don't do you may do like 7-on-7s in the summer.
And it's
with a
7
bunch of guys, but like you don't do this hopping team shit because it still goes back to what my stats were in my high school, versus with the AAU stuff. You don't
that
really
could get you to the league.
Yeah, you don't really need to be the star on your basketball team, on your high school basketball team, as long as you're doing numbers when ballislife.com is there, or when slams is slam kicks or slams is that like.
Yeah, no, you're right, bro.
You don't need that.
You don't. And it's crazy because it's really become that, because you're right. And I love that you brought up slam and out kick and all the ball is life, because it's gotten to the point to where it's like, yeah, your high school stats matter to maybe get you to a college, but in terms of publicity and in terms of generating steam for your name and getting you out there, you could honestly go to a school that doesn't have basketball, but if you play on the right AAU team and you get ball is life and some of these people seeing you on social media, you'll get a scholarship. Facts. It's crazy, man. And I think
that shit is ridiculous.
I think you're right. It started before 2012 because it had to start. Because I remember they had at least 2 age groups older than me playing, and I think AAU, the 2010 class, was really the start, because AAU didn't really hit really big until I think 2012. So it started with the 2010ers because, man, people would just hop teams left and right, and it didn't matter.
Yep.
Like if there was no allegiances, it was all about who provided you the best opportunity. And I think you're absolutely right. We see players coming in today, and it's like, how do you benefit me? It's not about team loyalty, and it's not about building that, and it's not about the we, it's about the I. And that kind of, maybe that's why we see the Warriors doing dynasty stuff, because they're the only team that doesn't play for the I.
And also, I just want to put this out there, not that because he's still one of the greatest players to ever play the game. The decision happened in 2010.
LeBron, honestly, is the first AAU superstar.
Like, he is what brought this. You know what I'm saying? Like, once he was able to do it, everybody who was in AAU was like, well, if LeBron could,
to do it,
jump teams, why can't I jump AAU teams? You feel me? Like,
yep. And that started it at the ground floor, and then, like you said, people in the NBA said that same mentality. If Bron could do it, shit, I could do it too. And we see what Kevin Durant did. We see what AD's doing, and I just think it's interesting that Chris Bosh had that viewpoint for the AD stuff. And even Kareem came out and spoke. I retweeted this. I don't know if you saw this, B. Kareem came out and was like, yo, people don't even know this, but I requested a trade from Milwaukee to LA. The thing was, the reason why they did it and we ended amicably, and the reason why I can still have my jersey retired here is because I didn't go out to the newspaper and say, hey, I want to trade. I went to the owner like a man and went behind. He didn't say like a man. And let me not put that on Kareem. That's me saying that. He went to the owner like a man and was like, yo, I'm not comfortable playing here anymore. Our time is up. Is there any way you could move me? And if you can, could you move me to these people? I won't say anything. I'll finish out my contract. And just, if you could you move me here and try to get the best deal for you? And if that could happen, I would really appreciate it. And that worked out for him. Instead of Anthony coming out in the public, and now he's trying to backtrack and be like, yo, I'm trying to, like, this wasn't my intention. Yeah, you can't pull back from that now.
No, it's too late.
It's way too late.
When you have the opportunity to control the storyline, the narrative, you're supposed to take that to your advantage. And he had the opportunity to control the narrative, and he dropped the ball. I don't feel bad.
No, I don't feel bad at all, because you allowed someone to manipulate, and we say this all the time. I said this last week. Rich Paul is Littlefinger, and you got to think LeBron is the man who counts the checks. I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones, Brooklyn, but Littlefinger, he's little. Rich Paul is he's the puppet. He's Pinocchio. LeBron is Geppetto. You let someone who, at the end of the day, Rich Paul can say he's looking out for his client's best interest.
But we know what client.
But at the end of the day, you can't tell me he's the first priority isn't LeBron.
That's baby back bullshit.
you can't lie to me and tell me that. So AD, you allowed, and Charles Barkley even said this. Charles Barkley said, when I have my agent works for me, I don't work for my agent, and he thinks AD was the way it came off was he was working for Rich Paul, and he was letting him do things instead of making his own decisions. And that's why it blew up in his face.
You're right.
So it's crazy. I just want to get your take on that AAU stuff before we get to Bros Who Ball. Thank you, B, as always. Tell the people where they can find you at on social media.
You can find me at all social media platforms at Where Brooklyn at. And that's Brooklyn with a Q, baby, because we ain't trying to get sued.
Yep, that's marketing purposes, very much so. But without further ado, let's get into Bros Who Ball. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you know what that sound means. It is time for another edition of Bros Who Ball. I want to shout out to Bree in Brooklyn for the first part. Shout out to my guy B for staying a little bit later to have an answer that question with me. But I want to bring that question up to my co-host, as always, with Bros Who Ball, Adam Schubert in the building. How you doing, Shuby?
What's up?
Nothing too much, man. Just cooling. I want to ask you the question that I asked Brooklyn. I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast, and I really like how Chris Bosh articulates himself and some of the thoughts he has. And his thought was that AAU is the reason, one of the main reasons why basketball is the way it is today, in which guys switching teams, guys switching up things. He was saying because if you know the AAU circuit, people just switch teams constantly, and I can attest to that because I played AAU. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel the AAU system is kind of why the NBA is in the position it is today?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I think the players have adopted that mindset and kind of carried it over in the NBA. It's kind of the NBA's responsibility to fix kind of make it different than that in a sense. I don't know what they're gonna do with that. Maybe I think what was it, the NBA that they were talking about trying to get franchise tags, but the players would hate that.
Oh, they wouldn't agree to that. There's no way. And see, the NBA is in a weird position because now it's not like the NFL. These players are business savvy. These players have the freedom, and these players have a players union that will fight for them. When the CBA comes up in a couple, like the NBA might go on strike, but that's because the players are going to demand some stuff. This CBA that the NBA is about to go to will be completely different than the NFL. The NFL is fighting to get to what the NBA has now. The NBA is trying to break new grounds for what it's about to do with its CBA. And Chris Bosh kind of talked about that a little bit on Bill Simmons. He didn't go too in depth because I don't think the players are trying to reveal their hand right now. But I think the CBA that's coming up is going to be huge. But you're right. The only way to nip that in the bud is the owners. But at this point, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think that AAU's the problem. I mean, it's just people's mindsets. You know, we had Damian Lillard come out this week and say that, you know, he is a guy who's more inclined to be loyal than to chase championships, or as he said, sell himself for a championship. Which is some powerful phrasing, because there's been that's basically saying these guys are selling out to get rings and they don't believe in their talent. That's what he's saying. Yeah. Like, let's call a spade. Like, as much as I am a fan of the Golden State team and what they've done, and when I say I'm a fan, I like the greatness that they've won. But in terms of what they did, yeah, I mean, maybe KD didn't believe in his abilities well enough to beat them. You think about LeBron. LeBron didn't believe in his abilities well enough to beat the Celtics. That's just the Dame Lillard called it like he saw it. But let's get into this show. I just wanted to ask you that question to start off. Not too much to talk about this week because sports are kind of on a downtime due to the All-Star break. Let's start off with NBA All-Star Weekend. Before I rag on it, let me get your thoughts. Did you enjoy All-Star Weekend? Bro, I didn't watch that.
Dang, you didn't even watch it. See, that's interesting. All right, well, then let me say my thoughts on it. Then we can have a whole different conversation. I thought the skills challenge is just getting better each year because the young guys are very skilled. That was entertaining. The three-point contest, as long as Steph Curry's in the league, it'll be entertaining because every year you try to see what Steph can do. And Joe Harris of the Brooklyn Nets beat Steph this year, and it was a very close competition. So I enjoyed that. the dunk contest keeps getting worse and worse. And I know we thought we had a bright spot that year with Zach LaVine and what's old boy's name for the Magic? Aaron Gordon. And then Donovan Mitchell last year, people kind of enjoyed, but I thought Donovan Mitchell's dunks were kind of weak. It's just weaker this year. This was weak sauce. They need to just stop dunking or make the star players do it, because I think when LeBron chose not to do the dunk contest, it changed the dunk contest forever.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was even before him. You know, it's not like Kobe was out there doing a dunk contest.
Kobe did a dunk contest. Get out of here.
Yeah, he did a dunk contest, but I'm saying
but that's my thing. No, but that's what I think. I think as long as the stars do one, it shows other stars to, like, if LeBron would have done one by now, I guarantee Giannis would have done one. That's what I'm saying. Like, when Kobe lived up to, because Jordan did it, Dominique did it, stars did it in the 90s. Kobe carried that torch. He did it once. Like, LeBron has never done it in his career, and he's always hinting about doing it. And it's just what I saw in the dunk contest. And yet, congrats to Hamidou Diallo. It was dope seeing him dunk over Shaq. But those were dunks that he knew he could do. And during the dunk contest, he saw that people were messing up, and he just stopped. He just was trying to get points to get points. So it was, and a lot of people are misses. And I just remember when I was a kid, and I saw a tweet where somebody was like, "Oh, you didn't play NBA Live's dunk contest to think people can't miss dunks." No, bro. I used to watch the old All-Star games with Jason Richardson and Vince Carter, who wouldn't miss a freaking dunk.
Man, I like I said, I didn't watch All-Star Weekend. I don't really think I've watched an NBA All-Star Weekend for about 4 or 5 years now. I mean, I'm really not interested.
Okay, then let me ask you this question: are All-Star Week games dead? Are All-Star Weekends dead from all sports? MLB, NFL, and NBA.
The only one I watch is baseball.
Interesting.
And I watch it every year.
See, that's interesting. I don't watch football, but I do watch basketball. Some people, and I've seen, because I watch some national stuff, some people said they don't even think that All-Star game is good. So me and you kind of flip on which All-Star game is the one that we think is good. But in my opinion, I think they're all bad.
I don't know if it's still the case with baseball. I think they may have changed that recently, but for baseball, it had stakes.
Oh, okay.
Like if the American League won, then they got the home field advantage in the World Series.
Oh, see, Schubert, I don't think that's the case no more. I don't know.
It was for a majority of the 90s. I know that it may have changed recently, like within the past 2 or 3 years. But yeah, those were the stakes. That's why I really watched that. You know, growing up, I would really watch that game more than any other All-Star game.
And then the NBA.
But I did watch all dunk contests though, like the Dwight Howard ones.
And see, that's what I'm talking about. Dwight Howard didn't miss no dunks. Like Nate Robinson didn't miss dunks. These dudes missed 4 dunks a round. Like it's embarrassing, and it's not fun to watch, especially when I can go to YouTube and type in "and one dunk contest" or "street league dunk contest," and they're doing crazier dunks than the NBA guys.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think it's more of a conversation of All-Star Weekend is just not what it was. And I don't know who the blame is on. It could just be we're progressing, but I think the blame more so is on the athletes because they're not trying. But if that's the case, can you blame them due to the fact of a long season? And I know you can. The athletes of the 90s would say, yo, we had that season and we still balled out for our All-Star Weekend. But maybe we need to lower the season. Or do some changes to make All-Star Weekend feel something. But I just think across the board, All-Star Weekends don't matter anymore.
Well, the reason that All-Star Weekends don't matter anymore is because we have social media.
That too.
You know, we're seeing stars interact with stars on a daily to weekly basis. Like back in the 90s and the early 2000s, the only time we ever really got to see a bunch of those guys all on the same place was during All-Star Weekend. Or the Olympics, so they all got up for it, you know?
Yeah, true.
And they don't get up for it anymore. It's a waste of time to them, especially in the NFL.
Yeah, no, in the NFL, it's pointless. And in the NBA, honestly, if you follow C. Berkeley on IG during the summer, you can watch the All-Star game with his Blackboard sessions.
Honestly, hockey's All-Star Weekend is actually pretty interesting, but no one will watch that.
But that was just my thing, just talking about All-Star Weekend. because there's not much NBA to talk about. Before we leave the NBA, there's two things we got to talk about: who we think's gonna lead the charge, who's our dark horse at this point, those types of things. But before we get to that, I want to bring up this idea because this has been a conversation I've been seeing on Twitter, and I know we talk about this often, but realistically, do you think it's time that the NBA change the playoff system?
Change it how?
Make it the best 16 teams.
Just straight 16? No East
West? Or West. No East West. Best 16.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. I think that'd be a better way of doing it. But the fact is that the East and the West should be equal. Yeah. But it's just not been the case anymore. So I guess that's the way you do it. And
you can't force that due to the fact that people hop places. It's not like the old days where players would stay in one spot. And that maybe that's the way you alleviate the quote unquote conference domination, even though the East is kind of better this year. But I really think going forward, the NBA needs to either look at shortening the schedule or changing the playoffs to the top 16 or doing a little bit of both.
It's just my thing is it's just never been a problem before,
True.
This just could be a phase in the NBA.
It could just be where the NBA needs to go, overall, because you got to think about it. All right, in the 90s, the argument against Jordan is Jordan had a amazing East Coast, amazing Eastern Conference to face, but by the time he got to the finals, he didn't have anybody on the West side. Yeah, he had Charles Barkley that one year in the Supersonics, but I'm just saying that's the argument against Jordan. To the Kobe and them, it was they had competition, I believe, in the West, but not too much in the East because except that year they played AI. And it goes back and forth, and maybe the way to resolve that because
didn't they beat the Spurs in one of those titles?
Who?
The Lakers.
No, they had to beat the Spurs to get to the title. Spurs are always in their conference.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
That's what I'm saying. History doesn't talk about the weighted.
They beat the Magic, huh?
Yeah, they beat the Magic one time. They beat the Nets and they beat the Sixers, or it might have been they beat the Sixers, the Nets, and some. I don't know if it was the Magic when Shaq and them played. It might have been, but I'm not sure. I don't think so. But either way, that's what I'm saying. When you look at history, it's weighted always to a specific conference. We just talk about it more now, and I just think a way to alleviate that top 16 teams. But let's look at. I want to get. Going out of All-Star break, we know who we had at the beginning of the year for finals appearance and all these things. Things have changed. A lot of things look different. Pelicans aren't looking too hot. So let's start with the East because to me the East is my favorite conference right now. Give me your dark horse. Give me your dark horse for the East, and then give me the team that you think is just looking good and they should make it.
What's a dark horse?
A dark horse is a team that will shock people. That's the
shock
sleeper
people
team.
As in maybe it to the second round or something.
Maybe make it to the Eastern Conference. However far you think your dark horse will go.
I guess for me, I'd say the dark horse would be the Nets.
All right, that's my dark horse as well.
Yeah, because I think the Nets could possibly get past the first round,
and maybe shock somebody in the second.
Yeah, it depends on how it stacks up. I just don't think they would beat the Raptors or the Bucks, but that's just me.
But I mean, okay, I will say the Raptors are harder to beat than the Bucks because the Bucks, until Giannis Antetokounmpo can't be game planned against, and I know they got Mirotic and they got a lot of people to hurt that game plan of the double to where you have a bunch of shooters around him. But until he can't get game planned against, I think they're out of the Bucks, the Raptors, the Sixers, and the Celtics. The Bucks might be the Raptors of last year, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like the number one seed that could be beat. And I just think with the Nets being so young and they all play hard, and they have their star now in D'Angelo Russell, it just depends on how much D'Lo can get them. How far D'Lo pushes the Nets is how far the Nets go.
Yeah, it's really going to depend on how all this ends up seeding wise, because I feel like the Pacers are going to drop.
Yeah.
So, where will the Pacers end up? And the winner of that, and where would the Nets end up? Will the Pacers drop below the Nets? Probably not.
Yeah, probably. Well, I don't know, Shuby, because right now it's 30-29, and the Pacers are 38-20. If the Nets go on a winning streak and the Pacers go on a losing streak, it's possible, but that would be kind of hard to get up 9 games on them. That would be hard. But I think I think the Celtics needed this break the most, and if they can come out of this break, they can maybe do some damage. Out of the East, though, for me, I said my dark horse. I'm picking the team that I think is gonna really do some damage and make a push to the finals and do some stuff. I'm really riding with the 76ers right now because I like.
Yeah, I'm there.
Harris.
I'm with it.
I like Tobias Harris. I like Joel Embiid. I just like that. That's the most well-rounded team. But I will say the Raptors with Marc Gasol, their young guys, Anunoby and Siakam, Leonard. The Raptors are the second. It's those two teams. They are now. The Celtics thought they had the arms race. The Celtics now have the smallest team in the arms race. They might have the most shooters, but they have the smallest team compared to the Sixers and the Raptors. I'm leaning towards the Sixers, but I think the Raptors are second for me under them.
Yeah, I'm with that. I think the Celtics are still a third for me, even above the Bucks. I think that they're kind of a silent assassin type team right now. Like, nobody's really talking about them. We don't know how this is going to end up seeding-wise, but they could either have a big first round matchup. Like, maybe they sit at the 4th and they're going to end up playing the Nets. You know, that's going to be a tough series for them. And then they would have to go play the Raptors. Then they would have to go play the Bucks. And I think if they could go and face the Bucks in the second round, I think they could win that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the first round would be harder than the second round, and that's due to the fact that Brad Stevens could really make a good game plan against Antetokounmpo. He put the Ben Simmons defense on him, and we saw how that affected Ben Simmons last year. But yeah, the Celtics, man, they just they got to get their stuff together, and it can't be Simmons Tatum shoot 20 shots, Kyrie shoot 20 shots, Horford shoots 20. They have to determine who is their go-to guy out of All-Star break, and the other guys have to realize they play off of them. It's not like it was last year, and they just need to accept it. And Tatum, honestly, should just kind of go to management being like, look, y'all can trade me. I'll go. If he's not happy, he needs to do that. Just make it known. But that's maybe a little bit of my bias. Let's get to the Western Conference. Who's your dark horse, Shuby? Who you got that in terms of the West, we know it's the Warriors. And instead of saying who you think is the front runner, who do you think is the team that could beat the Warriors? Let's go with that. Dark horse.
Is that the okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, the team that I'm most interested to see what happens with is kind of two teams. Like, this Clippers-Kings thing is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
And the fact that if the Clippers keep winning, they could even jump the Spurs and Jazz. I mean, they're right in the mix.
It just sucks for the Clippers because they lost their star.
Yeah, it makes sense. But I think, if I was them, honestly, I would let the Kings just take that spot.
Yeah, true. Because, man, the Kings for me is my dark horse. And it just, like I said, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, they won the Pelicans Buddy Hield trade. They won it. And Buddy Hield's now emerging. And they have De'Aaron Fox, who's emerging. As De'Aaron Fox is emerging as the star of that team. You got Buddy Hield, who's a good backcourt mate with him who can get buckets. You got Marvin Bagley and Willie Cauley-Stein on the boards. Marvin Bagley's looking really good.
Just acquired Harrison Barnes from the Mavericks. Which
is a big move because now you finally have a legitimate small forward veteran presence on that young team. And now you can really make some waves, man. I think the Kings have a good opportunity to push for the playoffs because, like you said, the Clippers could fall, but the Spurs and the Jazz, yeah, Donovan Mitchell's there for the Jazz. He'll probably keep them in the playoffs, but the Spurs could easily fall off.
Yeah, the Kings are, I'd say, 2 games out of the playoffs right now, 3 games away from the Spurs. They could go on a run.
3 games from the Spurs and 2 from the Clippers. They're 3 from the Spurs and 2 from the Clippers. Hold on, I'll give you their schedule.
It's Warriors, Thunder, Timberwolves, Bucks are the next 4 games, which is brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. And then if you look past that, after the Bucks, it goes Clippers, Knicks, Celtics.
And then Knicks again.
Yeah, but those 2 Knicks games, they have to win. But all those other games are difficult because after the 2 Knicks, they go, hold on, I'm trying to see.
Wizards, Celtics.
Yep. And then
Sixers, Bulls, Nets, Mavericks, Suns.
So it's going to be rough for them getting out because all like the 76ers, the Nets, the Mavericks aren't in tank mode because you can't tank with Luka Doncic. You just gotta let him. If he loses, he loses. If he wins, he wins. Wherever the chips fall, the chips fall.
Oh, hey, they come to Smoothie King on the 28th of March.
And I'm excited about that. Yeah, Smoothie King, when I go, again, I already told the security guards, and I asked them because I was at a concert this past weekend. I was like, first off, I see the AD poster still there, and I asked one of the security ladies, I was like, yo, y'all got to take that down, man. How you feel about that? That man don't want to be here. She was like, yeah, I don't like it either. You know it's coming down ASAP. And I was like, look, if I come here with a sign that says go to LA, would y'all kick me out? She was like, no, I'd actually tell you to keep doing it. So I had to make sure I could talk my shit when I go to Smoothie King.
Yeah, man, they're definitely it's not a pro AD
place
space
right now. Yeah, no, it's really
like,
not.
When you walk around that stadium, no one is really pro AD there. You still get some booze.
It came out today. Let me report this on the pod that Danny Ferry is at interim GM, and he's not trying to let Anthony Davis play, man. Like, he is saying that he doesn't think it's beneficial for the team, and he's going to do everything that he can to talk to the NBA Players Association, to try to get AD not to play. So I think
forget that guy.
Yeah, I agree. Get him out of here. You should be playing. And before we move to like our dark horse in the Western, we said our dark horse. Before we move to the team that thinks can beat the Warriors, I want to talk to you about this. Because it came out over All-Star that Anthony Davis said that, all 29 teams on his list. There's been a lot of damage control, that he's trying to apologize to Ms. Benson, that it shouldn't have happened like this. He wish it wouldn't have happened like this. Like, bro, that's your fault. You let Rich Paul control you, the narrative, and control you instead of letting him. Instead of him working for you, you worked for him. And I want to give credit where credit is due. Charles Barkley said that in an interview. And even Kareem came out and said he handled it wrong. All these legends are saying it's messing up his legacy and his name, and he's handling wrong. Schubert, what's your take on all the legends coming out and saying this?
I mean, I think they're right. I think the legends should be coming out more and saying these things to these guys in this generation, because, I feel like what made the game back then so intense was, people. I don't know, man. I don't know where I'm trying to go with this, but for real, like, it's the fact of the matter, man. Like, AD let Rich Paul and LeBron control his decisions, and then ultimately he's going to be the one that ends up looking like a jerk.
Yeah, no, it's his legacy. It's not Rich Paul's and LeBron's that get tainted.
And I mean, it's just gotten worse and worse. First he's like, I think what's best for my legacy is I need to go to a team that's going to win a championship. And now he's like, now I'll go to anybody.
Yeah, it's just a shame, man. And he only said the anybody stuff so it could make it look like, I wasn't trying to strong arm the Pelicans, but you definitely tried to strong arm them with a year left on your contract.
But even besides Rich Paul, his daddy was the one who came out and said, well, he's not going to play for the Celtics.
Oh, we didn't even talk about his dad on this podcast. Yo, that's like, I'm sorry, Anthony, but like, bro, you're 25. You're like 25, 26 years old. Your pop should not be coming out and saying he shouldn't be. That's your decision. Like, and I know I give bail to Lonzo every time, but Lonzo's still 19. Lonzo 19, 20. And Lonzo has to stop that too at this point. Now he's a grown man. He got to stop that too. But Anthony Davis, you've been in the league. Your pop shouldn't be saying nothing for you. Like, it's your responsibility. But I just want to report what Danny Ferry was going saying. Let's get to the team that we think can try.
I heard one more thing, though, that was even worse of the quote. And it was someone on Twitter that was a reporter, and I don't remember who it was. And I tried to look back at my photos to see if I kept that tweet, but I didn't. But he said something where he was talking to AD, and AD was like, yeah, I'll do what I need to do when it's all said and done. I've already been thinking about the heartfelt Instagram post I'm going to give to New Orleans.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
You saw that?
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I saw that.
I'm like, ooh, this guy.
Bro, you could keep your heartfelt note and let everybody do. I swear, bro, I'm getting rid of my Anthony Davis jersey. I got to. I'm not gonna burn it. I'm gonna give it to charity or something.
That's what I did with the Porzingis jersey.
I gotta give it to charity, man. I gotta get rid of it. Like, I just don't want that energy. Like, because Anthony not supporting us no more, and he keep that apology.
Man, I just gave it to some homeless person.
Well, that's nice. You gave him some clothes to wear. I appreciate that's what's up. All right, let's get to our person that we think that could beat the Warriors in the chance. There's two teams that I'm kind of looking at that could kind of give the Warriors a run for their money. One is a team that is kind of always a team that we throw out, and the other one's kind of my shocker. I think the Thunder have a good shot. That's the team we always think about with Paul George and Russell Westbrook. They finally figured it out. Paul George is the go-to. Russell Westbrook closes it with Schroeder helping out getting assists. And then they play. The thing with them is they play really good defense. They're really long and they can switch and they can contain. They have a center that can check Boogie and Steven Adams. Out of any team in the way they're playing right now and how Paul George is looking, I got the Thunder as one of the teams that could maybe upset the Warriors. Who you got, Shuby?
I don't think anyone.
Ooh, that's fine.
I don't think anyone can. But the thing is with the Nuggets, man, is I just don't know if they're gonna make it.
That's my other one. Cause see, I like the Nuggets a lot, and I like
the Nuggets, but I don't know if they're gonna make it to the Warriors.
Honestly, the Nuggets next year will be a different team. This is the year where they get their playoff experience. Jamal Murray needs it. Gary Harris needs it. Jokic needs it. That team is very young. And when that team comes, I think they'll win first round. But can they make it all the way to the Western Conference Finals? I don't know. If they have to end up playing the Rockets or a Jazz or somebody like that, I don't know if they'll make it. So we shall see. But the Nuggets is my other choice because with Jokic, Gary Harris, Jamal Murray, Will Barton, what Mike Malone has done for this team, it's just it shouldn't be underlooked. The Nuggets are really a good team, and then they have Isaiah Thomas coming back. It's just it's all clicking for the Nuggets at the right time. I think. Let me look at the last game when they won against Malik Beasley is finally one of those draft picks is finally coming up. You got Monte Morris off the bench. It's just a really deep team. Trey Lyles, Isaiah Thomas. And it's up to these young guys like a Beasley, like a Monte Morris, like a Trey Lyles, like a Jokic and a Will Barton to get that playoff experience. And if they can really adapt to it and show that they're the true number ones, the true number 2 seed, and make it all the way to the Western Conference Finals, I'm not saying they'll beat the Warriors, but I'm saying they'll make an interesting series.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the first time in a long time I feel more confident about a couple of East teams than I do any of the West teams.
No, for sure. I'm more confident that the West teams put up a fight than the East teams put up a better fight than the Warriors against the Warriors.
I'm thinking the finals is going to be,
the best one we've had in a little bit.
And then on the flip side, I think the Eastern Conference tournament is going to be way more interesting.
Oh, definitely, because you have 4 legitimate powerhouses, a dark horse in the net who could maybe do some upset. Kemba can maybe shoot himself into some playoff wins. It's just going to be very interesting to see what happens in the East. And that's pretty much all of our basketball coverage leading up into when games start again. Can't wait to just talk more basketball weekly. I'm in it, baby. I've been watching games. I've been watching old games this season to get caught up on knowledge, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go full basketball in it. I'm going to be watching League Pass every day now, so I'm ready. But before we end this podcast, we got to talk a little bit about college basketball because 2 games happened tonight. LSU is ranked 13th, and they lost to Florida. And they lost in overtime, and that was a bad loss because Florida right now is 15-11. This was one of their quality wins. It really helps them out. LSU plays Tennessee this weekend. This is a must. It's not must win, but it's must win to where you improve your ranking and you get a better seed in the tournament. Because if you lose, you're going to be a lower seed, and you have to fight your way to where you want to go. If you win this Tennessee game and continue to win out, you can put yourself in better position in the tournament. But, I mean, look, LSU, after that Kentucky win, this was a trap game, and it seems like Florida was a trap game for football too, and now we got it in basketball. But I just like what I see out of this team. There was a lot of mental mistakes in this game, which they should have won, and Tremont Waters Tremont only had 10 points and 4 assists, not his usual game. Naj Reid with 16 and 15. Big B Williams is coming in his own with 10 points, and Skylar Mays with 18. And then we got to get Javonte Smart more in the game. He had 4 points. This team is going to be good, but they got to kind of get over that hump of when our stars aren't scoring, we got to get other people involved. And once they get over that and they finally hit that mesh and full focus in, they'll be a good team, and I think they'll make some noise in the tournament. I really like Will Wade as a coach. Schubert, did you watch the LSU game?
Yeah, I did watch the LSU game. I think LSU is going to win the conference tournament.
Oh, all right. So do you not think they're the best team in the SEC?
No, I don't.
Oh, but you think they'll win the conference tournament, though?
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, at least you come on. I can't wait for that conference tournament. This will be a good one. We finally have a good SEC
I think a lot of people are overlooking these conference tournaments because the top team doesn't always win the conference tournament for these big conferences because they don't need to.
No, they don't. They
don't. So they don't necessarily have the desire to win those conference tournaments, and maybe in the back of their heads they're like, well, let me conserve myself a little bit because Tennessee's going to be like, oh, we're getting 1 or 2 seed. We don't need to win this conference tournament.
Yeah, true. As well, they got to win out to make sure they obtain that, or they'll be like a 3-4. But even 3-4, if you don't need to win your conference tournament.
I'm picking Tennessee to win this weekend.
Oh, you're picking them to win this week? See, I'm picking LSU to win this weekend.
Yeah,
it's going to be in Baton Rouge. I think we got it. Because I watched
today was in Baton Rouge.
But they weren't looking at today, and that's something that they have to fix, and that's why I'm talking about their focus, because they have not, like, the oldest, their stars are, it's Tremont Waters, who's an old guy, and Skylar Mays, but it's Nas Reed, it's Javonte Smart. Those are all young guys who are looking forward to this next game, and they got to focus in, and that's why I'm picking them. But you're right. I think that this conference tournament, you got Kentucky, you got Tennessee, LSU. You got
it's really Tennessee, Kentucky, LSU, in my opinion. I don't really think there's anyone else.
Oh, you don't. Let me see in the SEC. Let me get.
I think the SEC will have 6 people in the tournament.
Okay,
I think only 3 of them are going to be competitive.
Okay, so the 3 that you think is LSU, Tennessee.
Kentucky, Tennessee.
No Auburn.
No.
Oh yeah, because Auburn
they might make it.
Off. They might. Yeah. You got South Carolina with the next best record, and then you have the next best conference record, and then you have Mississippi with the 18-8. You got Auburn 18-8, and then Mississippi.
With the win today,
19.
Florida gets back in the hunt a little bit.
Yeah, they do. This was their big IP win. But check out Primetime for more LSU basketball coverage, because I know this is heating up for Charles. He's probably going to cover that game for Tennessee, or at least give y'all some updates on that. Be on the lookout for that later this week or early next week as he recaps what happened. But let's move on to the other big game. Zion Williamson has experienced an injury. He broke out of his shoe, which is crazy. That it kind of hurt. If it was Pumas, look, that hurts Pumas' NBA deal because, like, oh, these shoes aren't good. But nonetheless, Duke lost tonight 88-72, but I kind of knew they would lose when Zion went down because it kind of showed that he's the guy. RJ Barrett had 33 points and 13 rebounds, but they need Zion. Cam Reddish was the second best. Isn't this crazy? RJ Barrett had 33. Cam Reddish had 27. No other player had over 6 points in the game. That's insane.
Oh man, I just don't like RJ Barrett's game.
Yeah, me neither. He's not when he's the primary guy scorer. It's a dark hole. He's that ball hog player.
Yeah, where Cam Reddish got those points because he was hitting shots.
Yeah, he had to not. Cam Reddish is their shooter, and I wanted to see Trey Jones get more involved, but he was missing a lot of open shots. That team needs Zion going forward, and if Zion's injury is worse than just a mild knee sprain, which at the time of this recording, which we're recording right after the Duke game, that's what it was reported it is. But if tomorrow when you guys hear this podcast or later on it's something worse, then if it's something worse, which I pray it's not, Duke won't be as good without Zion Williamson. They need him to win the tournament.
Even more about, we talked about offensively why Zion was important, but I think defensively and with rebounding was the biggest thing there. Luke May pretty much dominated the post. I remember at one point in the game, Luke May got the first 3-pointer, and that was like when they had scored 33 points and they had scored the first 30 points in the paint, which is not something that North Carolina was known for doing.
And it doesn't happen to do quite often because of Zion. Luke May had 30 points and 15 rebounds. That's crazy. Yeah. And people say Zion's not that great defensively, but it showed how much they missed him. He gets steals in the passing lane. He gets blocks. He's their rim protector. And bigs don't really score on him because of his strength. And Luke May would not have had that dominating game if Zion was there. I think this game is more attributed to Zion not being there, but it also shows Duke going forward that y'all have a lot to look. Y'all have a lot y'all need to do if Zion Wilson doesn't play anymore. Because if y'all don't have him for the rest of the season, I don't know how y'all win the tournament.
I think this is kind of an eye-opening game for people doing their brackets.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm hoping a lot of people aren't watching college basketball right now because I think this really gives a lot of red flags out for having Duke in your championship.
Ooh, so okay. So you saying if Zion Wilson isn't healthy, you need to be very weary of Duke. Yeah, I agree. I can't deny that because they did not look like I thought they would have. They didn't respond how they thought they would have after that injury. I want to shout out Georgetown. Been winning some games, beat Villanova this past night, and let me show you what my boy Matt McClung had. If I could just pull up, the stats don't stop tripping. Matt McClung, he had a solid 21 points. Shuby, 21, 4, and 5. Hold on, let me give you some more Matt McClung stats because everybody was saying, oh, Lynn, you was overhyping Matt McClung. But let me show y'all what he's been doing recently. Hold on, just give me a sec while I pull up this.
While you're pulling that up, I will say though, I think that the media is not giving him very good coverage. I watched two different on FS1 and on ESPN. I watched them rehash that game's highlights, and none of them were Matt McClung. Yeah,
I know they don't because they don't show him too much. Okay, so the game before this one, he had a bad game, but that he was in foul trouble. The game before that, he had 21. The game before that, he had 13. The game before that, he had he had 25, 5 and 5. He's coming into his own, man. He's a freshman. He won't be a one and done, but I think next year people will be, especially ESPN, because how they get behind, and I don't want to say this and sound offensive, but they get behind players of Caucasian descent who are really good, like i.e. Grayson Allen, i.e. the JJ. They get behind Jimmy Fredette. Anytime there's a good one, they get behind it. And Matt McClung, least one. I think next year. Yeah, Matt McClung, I think will get that play next year. But that's pretty much all we got, Shuby. Not a lot in sports. Like I said, it's just basketball right now. I know you had something you wanted to mention about a rumor that was going around.
Yeah, man.
Talk about it, bro.
5 reasons Russell Wilson should be traded to the Giants and that it makes sense.
Ooh, what you got?
He's in his final year of his contract. Sierra, apparently, rumors have been going around, prefers New York over Seattle. The Giants need to replace Eli Bad.
Duh. That's all you got?
Russell Wilson's marketability is being wasted in Seattle, and it would be great with the Giants. And the Giants have an offensive head coach instead of Pete Carroll, who's a defensive guy.
Look, those rumors, and I'll say this before, not to cut you off, Russell Wilson just bought Sierra her master's. Russell Wilson adores that woman. If she really wants to go there and he's a free agent, I wouldn't be surprised. But if he's not, I don't know how Seattle would never trade him.
Well, the thing is it just, what if Seattle wants that 6th pick?
True. Dang, to get rid of Russell, what's your next up? Like, I don't get what they have going.
You can get Nick Foles.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Case Keenum.
You're gonna, bro. Seattle fans would go crazy. You telling me you traded Russell Wilson for the 6th pick and the pick up Case Keenum or Nick Foles?
You're right. You need to get Nick Mullins.
Oh my god, that's Schubin's Giants love. But I just want them to throw out this little rumor that was going around. But Shuby, tell the people where they can find you on social media and tell them what you got going on.
Yeah, you can find me at social media, ASugar14 on Twitter and Instagram. Bros Who Binge this week. Some huge Star Wars news, I guess, rumors. But hey, we've been talking about DC rumors, so we're going to talk about some Star Wars rumors this week. And we're also going to talk about the Oscars because that's coming up.
Awesome. You guys be on the lookout for the new Bros Who Binge. Be sure to check out the most recent episode of Anime Talk, which dropped on Tuesday, as well as the most recent episode of Primetime. Charles and Josh sat down and looked over the 2020 recruiting class that LSU has. They have a big one, and they're just getting you guys ready for LSU football. Y'all guys go check that out. But you can follow me at Berlin the Don on Twitter, at Lyndon Burton II. That's Lyndon Burton II on Instagram. Follow Bros Who Think at Bros Who Think on Twitter. Be sure to follow Brooklyn at Where Brooklyn at on Twitter and on Instagram. Make sure you follow Bree curated at Bree Rob on Twitter. And I want to thank Bree for coming on the show again. Super dope insight. But you guys have a great weekend. As always, can't wait to talk to you guys again every Thursday. Glad that we're back 2 weeks in a row, getting back in the swing of things, ladies and gentlemen. 2019, we ain't slowing down. And I can't wait for you guys to hear some of the interviews we got coming up. Big guests coming up soon. And we got a lot of good stuff in store. Oh, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, Bros Who Think Network. If you're listening to us on Spotify, subscribe. And be sure to check us out on Twitch. We just posted, me and Chris, if you're an anime fan, me and Chris are going on Twitch and playing Jump Force. I'm streaming. Go to twitch.tv/BrosWhoThink. Check out all of our amazing content and merch coming extremely, extremely soon. Be on the lookout for that. But for Schubert, for Brooklyn, for Bree, my name is Glenn, and you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves and be safe as always. Peace.
What if I told you I never dried off my hands? Would you still dab me up or even give a damn? If you think of all the times you said what's up, you shouldn't be hesitant to test your luck. It's like being upset I kissed my ex like this because I did it to her doesn't make it romantic. Lord, I know things are hard to face, so tell me what that takes away. Doesn't matter if it's good enough, if you know for sure you be in love. Please don't focus on things we should push aside, cause there's no point to stress on options in hindsight. See that time I gave you cash cause you were down on your luck. Would you try to